Hey everyone, it's Cynthia Shepherd here, and I'm glad you stopped on this video. Now, if you are struggling to have your hostess keep their parties booked with you or to avoid them change the date, here is my 7-step program that I use, and I hardly have anybody cancel their party, but I'm not going to say that I never do because this is the business where we book parties and sometimes people do cancel. However, 95% of my hostesses do keep their original date and they don't cancel. So basically the first step is when you book the party, what you need to do is the following day, you need to either send them a text or you need to call them and make sure that that date still works for them. Because what happens is when they go home, they're going to check their calendar and they realize, oh shoot, their son has a soccer ball game that night, or their husband, isn't available because he's working. So what I always do, and I usually text because I find that's the best way, but don't forget, you never text to actually book the party, okay? This is after the party's already been booked. Okay, so I check to make sure that that date is good for them. Boom. Once you know that date is good for them, step 2 is you're going to send them a thank you card. And how nice is that? To get a thank you card, especially with this day and age, snail mail, but that's okay because when they get it, they're going to love it because you're going to put a little treat in it. You can get whatever you want. You kind of just have to make sure that it's a little bit flat so that it mails fine, and you only have to put one stamp. These are organic suckers that I got, and I'm not a big lollipop fan, so that's a good thing because I have a bag of about 100 of these. You kind of want to make sure that your kids don't like it either, or else you're not going to have anything left to mail to your hostesses. So anyway, so that's what I do, and I'll write in the card, thank you, Susie, for booking your party with me on Monday, November the 7th. I've reserved that day for you and your guests to have a fun night with me. Boom. Send it off. Step 2. Okay, now you can get these from the dollar store. I think I paid $1 for 8 of those. All right, so once you've done that, the third step is 2 days later, you want to send a hostess package. Now, depending on when you book the party, now some superstars will book a party 7 to 10 days in advance, which is actually recommended. But if your party is 2 to 3 weeks out, then you're going to have time to send it regular mail, the hostess package. Sometimes I do have parties where I have to kind of send the hostess package express post. Now, of course, this is if you haven't booked the party at the show. If you do trade shows, I do a lot of trade shows, so I book my parties that way with follow-up calls. So I usually have to mail the hostess package. So you're going to mail the hostess package 2 days later. Okay? So the fourth step is then you're going to follow up with your hostess. Now, actually, I should have mentioned that after you talk to the hostess, back to the first step, after you talk to her and she says everything is good, you're going to want to set up the second connection date. So either it's by phone call or by text. So I'll say, okay, that's great, Sue, that date was good for you. So I'm going to contact you on Monday, December the 10th or whatever date. By then you'll have your hostess package and we'll go through your package. If you don't go through the package with the hostess, guess what they're going to do? Nothing. They're going to take out your catalog or your style guide, and that's all they're going to do. All the rest of the papers is just papers to them because you haven't explained it. Okay? So step 4 is you need to call them. Now, I always call to go through the hostess package. You can't text going through a hostess package, so you're going to need to call them. And you know what? You've already set the expectation with your hostess that you're going to call, so you don't have to feel like you're bugging her because she knows you're going to call and go through the hostess package, right? So you go through everything in the hostess package, and then if she has any questions, you go through it with there. You do a little bit of coaching with her in terms of inviting guests. When you invite your guests, make sure you tell them to bring a friend, because if they bring a friend, they're going to get an extra an extra ticket into your draw. So you definitely do some coaching there on step 4, okay? So now step 5 is probably, again, depending on when your show is, it could be 3 to 7 days later. I usually text. We're always being trained to not text, but in this day and age, it just seems to be easier. Step 5 is I will text to see. What I do is I'll say, "Hey Sue, it's Cynthia again. How are people responding when you're inviting them?" Okay? So when you ask that question, you get a feel for what her potential guests are saying. And so I've had my hostesses say, "Oh, great." I actually had one hostess say, "Every single person that I invited said yes." And I'm like, "Great, fantastic. So how many ladies do you think you're going to have so I know how many packages to bring?" And she said, "I think about 11." Perfect. So she's doing everything great. Now, if she had only said 2, then I know I need to do more hostess coaching. So with this particular hostess, I didn't really need to do anything else. I asked her if there was any questions she had. Does she know about our special? Da 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 da. Everything was good. Now, after you do that, you're pretty much ready to go, right? She's doing everything that you've asked her to. So step 6 is one of your last follow-ups. So, and actually, sorry, back to step 5, you always have to set the next follow-up. So you let her know, "Okay, that's great, Sue. I'm going to touch base with you 2 days before the party." So, if the party's on a Friday, I'll just let her know, "Okay, I'm going to touch base with you on Wednesday to let you know, to remind your guests about your party and to see if you have any other questions or further questions," right? Perfect. And usually for me, that's a text, right? Okay, so now it's Wednesday and her party is on Friday. So you've sent her the text, "Hey Sue, it's Cynthia. I'm just texting you to remind your guests about the party." And I'll always kind of put in there, send out personal text. So don't do a mass text to everybody or a mass email to everybody. It needs to be a one-on-one, or depending on the person, if she would rather call, calling is the actual best, because what happens when you call is people hear the excitement in your voice, and then if they say that they can't attend because something came up, then your hostess can say, "Oh, no, not a problem, but listen, you know that you can always book a party with my advisor or consultant, or you can place an order." Okay? That you need to coach your hostess to do as well. So that was step 6. Step 7 is it's the night of the party or the afternoon of the party, and you're getting ready and you're on your way. You want to do a final call or a final text to make sure that everything is okay and you're not going to drive all the way out there to see that she's not even there, but just to make sure, one last final text to say, "Hey, I'm on my way," or "I'll be there at 6:30, looking forward to it," da da da. So I hope that this has created value for you. And if you have any further questions that you would like to ask me about hostess coaching or booking parties, feel free to send me an email at cynthiashepard589@msn.com. Okay, bye ladies.